So the last one of these that I did went to some unlisted address and I could not see anything. It looked like it went just fine. And then, nope, not so much. And I've been so slammed with my regular job, I was not able to find it, post it, etc. So I apologize for that. So what I'd like to do is just kind of back up the one session and talk about what I talked about last time. So your tip for this live is about tracking your quilts and your UFOs. Now, if you start listing out all of your UFOs and you say, you know what, I really don't care about that quilt or that project, or I took it in a class and I didn't really enjoy it, so not really sure if I want to finish it, it doesn't need to go on a list or a tracker, okay? The way I look at it is that a quilt I want to attack, I have to track. So that's kind of the way I think about it. So let me show you the tracker that I use. Now I have things on mine that you won't have on yours. Okay, but what mine shows is the name of the quilt here in this left-hand column, when the design is complete, when the top is 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, or is complete. Now actually some quilts I'm sewing before I'm designing the final version. So that may, be checked or not checked depending on what's happening with it. Have I quilted it? Have I bound it? Have I put on a sleeve, a label? Have I put it into the computer? Now I'm currently using EQ7. I know there's newer versions out there, but I use very little of the abilities that it has, so I don't really need a newer copy. Have I taken a photo? Have I made the materials list if it's going to be a pattern? Have I done the language needed for the directions? Have I taken the photos? Is the pattern complete? Then I have additional columns. I have special instructions. So for example, if it's something like the Stash Blaster quilts, I often have guild instructions. So if you're doing it as a charity event, how to get the best results out of that. Have I made the video, because I'm new to doing videos? And then have I done a behind the scenes kind of video for it? And are there any notes? So you probably don't have all these categories. You might be able to stop right at the end of bound, sleeve, and label. You might want to add shipped or given or something like that. I always recommend you take the photo regardless, but some people do and some people don't. But what this does is it shows you all of the quilts and where they are in the process. Now some of my quilts I'll do a top because it's for classes and I don't want to carry 20 different completed quilts. I may only want to do a quilt where I have the top done and I've stay stitched the edge, so I can just take that lighter version with me from class to class to class rather than having to haul a big quilt. So for example, behind me right here, this one I've stay stitched for a different reason, but if I was to be teaching a class in person, I might take it just the way it is. And so it may or may not ever be bound, quilted, labeled, all of that. So it all depends on what your needs are for that quilt. So a quilt can be done before it's done the normal way. But for me, I really like that ability to know where I am in process. And if I'm really close to getting something to a point where I can show it at a quilt guild or something, I'll take it out and see, okay, this is how far I have to go. I only have this amount of time. Can I finish it? And I'll often stay up late if I need to in order to finish it to take to that next group. In fact, one day I was taking one of my quilts and I picked it up from the lady who was doing the actual quilting on it and threw it in my car because I was on a long drive. That night, when I got to a hotel room, I put the binding on the front, pinned it onto the back, and I took it to the guild meeting the next day in another state. And I had only gotten about half of it whip stitched down. So I had to warn everybody about the pins, but they saw the quilt before its first photo had even been taken because I had it in process, but I could do that with it at that time. So if you know where you are, you know how far you have to go, and you'll be prepared when those deadlines hit. So that's kind of your organizational tip for this session is if you want to attack it, you have to track it. Okay? So those of you that did manage to get on, not last time but the time before, I mentioned that I was working on Stash Blaster 2. I was sewing it. Let me show you here. I think you should be able to see it better this way. So that's these two blue and white ones. They're the same blocks, cut in half with the triangles added, and they were added as squares, but they were turned into half square triangles. And then one is 15 blocks and one is 16 blocks. It's just different settings for the same one. And I promised I'd show you what these tops look like. Because real life is what it is, I have not yet gotten them quilted, and I'm kind of debating what I'm going to do with that. However, my office assistant for my organizing company decided he should be allowed to get married. So a week and a half ago, he got married to the lovely Emily. And so the two of them have been on their honeymoon for the last 10 days, and I won't see him until Monday. So I've been doing his job and my job, and lots of people have been calling, so it's been kind of zany around the Spatelnik house. But we're really happy for him, and I can't wait for him to get back because I've got lots of work for him to do. Thanks for joining me today. I'll be live streaming the first and third Wednesday of each month from 7 to 9 o'clock Eastern. I hope you'll join me then. If you've enjoyed this, please click the subscribe button, and if you hit the bell, it'll let you know the next time I post something. Have a great day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.